yeah.
Talk whack to me, talk whack to me,
yeah.
Talk whack to me, talk whack
It's
to me.
the WACCast podcast, yeah.
Talk whack to me, talk whack to me,
yeah.
Talk whack to me, talk whack to me. Whoa, 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 ho, 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 ho. What is up, black people? Thank you so much for tuning in today. I hope everything's amazing for you all as always. I am your host, the Honorable OCT Octavius Haye, and this is the WACCast podcast. If you are listening to us on YouTube, please remember to like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you're notified for any new videos uploaded to the channel. If you're listening on any platform that's streaming the podcast, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, please follow us so you can get notified for new episodes of WACCast podcast. Now with the formalities out of the way, let's talk whack to them. So Kanye West, who seems to be just staying in the news these days, he had his Instagram deactivated for about 24 hours. Guess he was doing a little too much on there, as we have been seeing. He was also cut from performing at the Grammys. A big part of that was the Grammys said his things he'd been posting online, and he's having issues with Trevor Noah, who's hosting the Grammys. And Trevor had been commenting on his, erratic behavior. And so I guess the Grammys just thought it'd be best just to remove him from there, and a little bit of a punishment, right? Now Trevor Noah himself has come out and said that this is not what he wanted. He was just trying to make Kanye get better, or wanted Kanye to get better, but he didn't want to punish Kanye by removing him from the Grammys. But it seems like the Grammys had other things in mind. Now this has kind of sparked a fuse. It's lit a fuse, and it's kind of it's a domino effect that's been set off with this, to where now Jay Prince has come out saying that he thinks that the popular artists like Kanye, Drake, The Weeknd, Nicki Minaj, and many others should boycott the Grammys, actually, and that they should instead go and perform on that same night as the Grammys. They should go perform for another station to take away their ratings, to show the Grammys how powerful they are, to hopefully implement change. Now Nicki Minaj she responded to this saying, respect, which is not really an answer whether she'll do it or not. But Nicki has been one of those artists that have complained about the Grammys, and really hip hop and the Grammys have never had the best relationship. Through some of the people that have won the Grammys, to the Grammys a lot of times not televising hip-hop winners and not really acknowledging the feats of what hip-hop is, and also categorizing rappers when they do make different genres of music, just sticking it all in hip-hop. I know Drake has talked about that, Tyler the Creator has talked about that, and you can see when other artists, white artists like Machine Gun Kelly, who went from rap to rock, they didn't just keep him in hip-hop. When he transitioned over and started making rock music, they put him as a rock artist. He's been very successful in that genre. So there's definitely something to look at with that. My take on it is I have no problem with that. If you're an artist and you feel like you're not being appreciated, and you attending these events is a big part of how they get their audience, but they're acting like they don't need you or they're bigger than you, then yeah, go ahead and show them. So I have no problem with it. The thing is, are artists going to show? Are they going to do it? I know that Jay Prince and Drake have a great relationship, so I could see Drake possibly doing it, at least considering it. Jay Prince and Kanye have had conversations. But you look at Nicki didn't confirm she was going to do anything. She really hasn't said anything other than respect to what Jay Prince has said. So you have to wonder, will they? My take on it is, another take I guess I have on it is, if you're going to complain about it, what are you going to do? What actions are you going to take to change it? Because you can go all day long and complain, but a lot of these artists, they'll complain about it one year and then they'll be back. I personally don't think the Grammys mean what they used to mean. They've lost a lot of their luster. Big part of that is not catching up with the times and making some of these decisions, like, giving the hip hop awards to Macklemore and Ryan Lewis when there was clearly Kendrick's year, and just doing other things similar to that to upset the hip hop audience and artist. And hip hop has become the number one money making genre in music. So when you do that, and this is the top money maker in the industry, eventually the artist and then the artist fans are going to start to look at you as less than. Your value is going to decrease. And I think for the Grammys, they still looked at hip hop as that other thing, that they were even being generous enough to include you. And I think that's a mistake. I think the Grammys need to catch up with times and try to make things right, because these artists have been upset, and now you got some of these the OGs behind the scenes start to say, hey, if we really mad, let's put our money and our time where our mouth is, and let's show them what we can do, and let's show them the power that we have, and that their power is only allowed when we give it to them, or it's only there when we allow them to have it. And we can change all this up real fast. We can have our own awards show. Maybe everybody go to the BET Awards this year, and let's treat that like the big award show. Or, like you said, we just do our own thing on these days. And they see that value decrease, and maybe they're willing to hear us and stop ignoring us and doing whatever they want to do. And I know the Grammys have brought in, try to be more diverse with who comes and judges, but it seems like a lot of these same problems still happen. So I don't know how big of influence those other judges really do have on a lot of the decisions of who wins what and what genre people are put into, and performances and things like that people are really having, that artists are really having an issue with. But ultimately, this is a great time to show the Grammys and then to show up and coming artists that it's really you that moves everything. And all these big wigs, fat cats in the industry, their power is only there as long as they have successful artists who people want to see. And you being that successful artist, you have a lot more to bargain with than they like to let you know, than they like to admit. So yeah, I'm all for it. I would support it. I would hope more people would support it. And I understand there's, and I'm like this too. There are bigger things going on in the world. Yes, of course. But you don't always have to push away like the superficial thing. You can make a mark right now. You don't always have to wait to save the world's problems before you get to the superficial thing. This is an important thing, because you do want your value to be known. And if my presence is going to make you your money, then yeah, I want my fair share. I mean, am I living a luxury lifestyle? Yes, already, of course. But that doesn't mean I'm going to allow you to get one over or two over on me and use me and abuse me and not care what I have to say and not care about my genre or my art and force me into this one genre when I'm making different type of music. So I get that 100%. So support to all those artists. And if this is going to happen, I'm ready for it. So I guess in the same vein of artist empowerment, moving on to the next story, shocker, rapper is beefing with the label. So Megan Thee Stallion has got into a very public beef with her record label, 1501, which she signed to with the owner, Carl Crawford. They've been going back and forth and this is all about her project she dropped, something for the Hotties that she dropped. The argument is, and now the lawsuit is, if that counts as a project or not, an album or not. So Carl Crawford is saying that it does not, and Meg Thee Stallion is saying that it does. It should. I think that Meg is saying the only thing in her contract states she has to do to make it count as an album has to be 45 minutes of material. Carl Crawford's legal team is saying that that a lot of that was just, skits and old previously released material, and that it's only about 29 minutes of new material, and this is just supposed to be just like a compilation type of project thing, not associated with her not associated with an album that she owes them. Now Megan's team is saying that this is just an attempt to get over on the artist and try to get more free work out of them and squeeze as much money as possible. So it's gotten, it's getting pretty bad between the two parties, and it's spilled over to social media. Well, Meg is pretty much, Carl's saying that, he hasn't gotten paid off for her projects since a while now. And she's saying, she doesn't pay him directly. He needs to call 300 label and see where the money is. That's who's supposed to be paying him. And she called him, she said he's a pill popper, a cocaine head. He said that she's an alcoholic who screwed the entire industry, including the dude who her best friend was messing with. That's Tory, if anybody doesn't know. He referenced that. So now it's coming to personal attacks on each other, calling each other out, and Carl said that he's gonna do a defamation lawsuit, I guess, for saying that he's a drug addict. But you call her alcoholic, so now she can do the same thing, a defamation lawsuit against you. He also said he don't have Twitter fingers, but he was saying a lot, He was saying a lot, and he was saying it's not true. My take on it, if it's true that all she has to do is produce 45 minutes of material, if that's the only requirement, then it is an album. That is a project that they got paid off of, right? When she put that out for streaming, did he not get paid? So if you don't want to count that as an album, then you shouldn't get paid off of that, right? So anything that you have made off of it, then you have to give that back. Although he's saying he hasn't been making any money off of her, so I don't know. My thing with that is a lot of times labels will try to get artists to, release mixtape separate from their album deal as a way of saying, hey, create some buzz, big yourself up. We need people to, get familiar with your music, so you as hot as you can be before you drop those albums, so we can make as much money back as possible. And what this really, but what's happening with that is, the labels are still the ones who are streaming that and getting paid off of those projects, even though they can turn around and say, well, this doesn't count towards, your contract. This doesn't count towards the required albums that you owe us, but they're still making money off of it. So there's a scheme that they do, and they won't sign off on an album until they see some projects out there first, to kind of heat you up. And so it's just one of those things where artists got to be wary, have to be wary about when they're signed with a label, and make sure that's an understanding with that. You see with Meg, Meg Thee Stallion is a huge artist, and she's having problems with this. But this, tends to happen. Before you get hot, you sign with somebody, and you may not know everything as far as the business side. And let's be honest, they've done a tremendous job. I mean, she's done a tremendous job getting herself over. She's a superstar. But, they were there along for the ride, and they funded a lot of what she was doing. Enough so that where she gets big enough to where Roc Nation wants to manage her, and now Roc Nation manages her, and now they want to sign her as an artist as well. And that's who she's allegedly trying to go to, is Roc Nation, and it just be everything under them. But there's nothing wrong with that. She's trusting them. She likes them. But Carl Crawford, he did put a lot of money invested into Megan, and she does owe some of her career to him, not all of it. She has to be there, and she has to make the hits. She has to be good at rapping like she is, and she has to, be a personality like she is, and learn and know how to connect with her fans, her audience. So I'm not taking that away from her, but he has played a hand in it. At the same time, though, you can't just screw people over, and if you have an agreement, you have to honor that agreement. So they're going to go through all this in court, and the judge is going to look at it and going to decide who's right and who's wrong. I know right now it's kind of beat up on Meg Time. A lot of people are looking into this Tory Lanez case. Things aren't looking exactly as she initially stated, and things were initially stated. And so, it's kind of some backlash towards her right now. But we gotta be fair, and I don't know, man. I don't know. I haven't heard the project, so I don't know. I'm only going off of what's being reported about it. I don't know if you could consider it an album. But then the thing I would say is like, well, if it's out streaming, so if there's money being made off of it and a label is taking that money, if they don't want to count that as an album, then they should have to pay back whatever money has been collected to Meg. If that's not part of our agreement, that's not part of our deal, and if you're not supposed to stream anything other than what you owe us, then take that off of streaming. So we'll see what the judge says. I'm leaning more towards Meg, but again, I don't know the details of their contract, and I don't know the details of the project itself. Something for the Hotties. So I can't really say either way who's right or wrong, but I'll say I'm leaning more towards Meg because it does sound like just a record label just trying to squeeze as much as they can out of artists and keep Meg for as long as possible. So they can try to, like I said, keep her as long as possible. They can make as much money off of her as possible. It does give that appearance, but you never know. And it's just something for up and coming artists or anybody who's about to sign a contract, up and coming creators like myself, to pay attention to and look at and say, hey man, let's make sure we got all this smoothed out as far as what I owe you and what's considered what I owe you and what's not considered. And if you need me to do something other than that, then that needs to be under contract too. If you need me to do a mixtape to heat up, to get hotter or whatever before I drop the album, or you need me to appear here, and these are the requirements you need, then there needs to be something set up for that financially as well, because that's taking time and resources and creativity from me, and I'm putting it out there to make you money. But then I'm also gonna have to do all this other X, Y, and Z stuff that's in the contract as well. So hopefully this, hopefully this can be resolved and they stop going and airing out the grievances online. Just leave it to the lawyers. Let's be professional, because both of you have to be appealing to wherever you go next, as far as Meg signing with, even if she automatically is about to be signing with Roc Nation, that may not last forever. You got to make yourself look professional for anybody. And then, Carl Crawford and his record label, they want to appear caring and professional to any new artist that they could potentially sign or have an interest in signing. So just something to think about. So I think that's our episode for today. A little lighter one today, you guys. I was just two of the hottest topics. Nothing else really stood out to me that was all that big of a deal. So yeah, we're going to cut it with that. But thank you guys so much for tuning in and listening, getting this whack wisdom. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, hit that notification bell if you're on YouTube. Follow us if you're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. And yeah, again, appreciate you all so much. Please come back. And this is the WACCast podcast. I am whacking off.
It's the WACCast podcast. Yeah.
Talk whack to me. Talk whack to me.
Yeah.
Talk whack to me. Talk whack to me.
It's the WACCast podcast. Yeah.
Talk whack to me. Talk whack to me.
Yeah.
Talk whack to me. Talk whack to me.